Hello, 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 my loves, and welcome to EQ with Jah. So, a lot of times I meet a lot of different people where I call them starseeds, healers, these people who they just innately know energy and emotions. I can see their whole backdrop, their life, where they come from, their conditioning, and they're like, Juan, how do you know this? And some of it is spirit work, and the rest of it is literally like you have to understand there's a lot of psychology that goes into the human conditioning. And I always tell people, I don't really need to know all of your conditioning. Some of your backstory is important, but I don't need to know all of the conditioning to understand your imprinting. A lot of times you got to really think about it. Think about a white shoe, a plain white shoe. And you know that like stuff like the big pool of the tie-dye stuff, you dip the shoe in and then it comes out and it has the pattern? Okay, that's imprinting, right? If you are this single thing that's a shoe, this is who you are, this is what it is, you don't even know what you are yet, but somebody else comes along and dips you in a cesspool of whatever, this is where conditioning comes from. This is where belief systems come from. This is where cultural understandings come from, because somebody else created that. Our ancestors created it, period, but somebody else still created it. Period. So when you think about that, our ancestors are somebody else. We are somebody else. We are this living time and place where we are the something else that can take us to that next level of understanding our own imprinting. If you can understand your own imprinting, then you understand your own conditioning. If you understand your own conditioning, then you understand what you actually like about it and what you don't like about it. Remember what conditioning is. You have to sit and marinate in something for it to get soft or permeable or to be open to receive, right? So we are all susceptible as children. We are big sponges that are always open to conditioning. And we get to a certain age where we have to take back that ownership and say, okay, I understand my conditioning is the environment which I was raised. I understand that my conditioning is the things that were taught to me and told to me. I also understand that my conditioning is also imprinted by the things I learned in those environments to get what I needed. Let's say you go to school. School is the conditioning. But in that classroom, depending on how well the teacher teaches, how well the students pay attention, or anything else, that's the imprinting. This is why you have students who either fail or don't fail, because sometimes if they don't know themselves, they get caught up in the world around them and they get sucked into that environment. Many parents have said it, you're a good kid, you're a good student, this is not like you. Yes, but societal imprinting is bigger than the individual, because we've taught each of our children that the individual doesn't matter as long as the collective says it matters. And we need to break this cycle. In order to see who you are, you have to understand how you imprint others. I know when I walk into a room and I say a certain thing a certain way, people are going to be affected a certain way, just like some people are not going to be affected. This is just simple imprinting. We are not going to take all responsibility for everyone else's behaviors or the correlation to temperament that they were given because they weren't ever allowed to see past who they were told to be. You understand what I'm trying to say? This is a huge factor in our society right now, and we need to break this cycle. There's so many people who conditionally think in groups and not individually. Think as an individual and then go to a group to collectively make it bigger or more expansive to understanding your consciousness. But don't just be a part of a group that's already a consciousness and then you just say sure because you don't want to be ostracized or feeling like you're not a part of the tribe. This is what a lot of us, again, this is in our DNA, this is in our roots to feel like you do not want to be kicked out of the tribe. To be kicked out of the tribe means that you're bad, you're not good, something is tainted. And we need to break this habit. Remember, a lot of our families come from ancestor lines where they were kicked out of the tribe and they have hate in their hearts and they pass that on. And then they say, we don't like them because they don't like us. And then you make this big old generational thing that we hate each other. And you really don't. It could be a simple emotional misunderstanding because someone did not take the time in our emotional history as humans. The Acosta records are there for all of us to tap into, but you also have to know how to tap into your source energy to respect what you're being given so that you don't take it on as your own. Energy is always going to be around you. That is the whole point of like living in the hood or something. When you live in the hood, that's the environment. It sucks. Your life becomes the environment and then the person has to adapt to that environment. That is not fair. This is why it's important to have good economies, good groups of people who are working towards building organizations and communities that help give back and teach. If we are only focused on the bigger goal for another person's bigger goal, then yes, we create systems that we get sucked into, and then we get conditionally taught how to be another person's imprint. This is the template I always talk about. That is a template, literally. Someone says, here, I made this template. It worked for me. Look at me. You should do this. And you're like, okay. After a certain point, you should outgrow that template and say, hey, now let me try something of my own. There's people who outgrow the template, and instead of changing it, they keep trying to patch it together and make it fit, and then it don't look right. It's just crazy. It's a distorted view of what you feel you should be portraying or representing to the outside world. Again, the outside world is only a reflection of what you give. And so if you see things a certain way, you're going to see things a certain way. If you perpetuate things a certain way, you're going to continually perpetuate things. This always comes back to, again, how you take care of your health. If you choose to be stuck in a condition of illness, then your body will decay to illness. If you choose to live in a condition of health and making sure you take care of your body properly, then you're going to live in a constant state of good homeostasis where your body knows, this is what balance feels like. I feel good. That creates chemicals, sends it to your brain. We feel good. Keep repeating this. We like it. This is all imprinting conditioning. It's all correlated. It always comes back, again, to knowing what you've been taught and where you came from, and knowing that's not who you are. We have to start at the base foundation. Where you came from and where you began is not who you are, and is not where you have to stay. It is not what you have to replicate or produce, unless you see that, again, it's viable, fertile soil that you can plant root and seed in, and it will keep producing for your family, for your legacy, for your generation. This is the point. Do not move onto somebody else's farm. These are all theoretical concepts. So do not move onto somebody else's farm and put all this work in, and then they get all of the money back and they don't give you nothing. Well, where's mine? Oh, this is my land, homie. Don't you know you was, look, I gave you a home, I gave you food, you said that was enough. Now you want money? Oh, how dare you? This is where we get stuck believing, oh, wow, I don't deserve, woe is me, poor me. No. See how somebody else run their shit, and then you go and run your own. You will never, ever have, look, we say competition. Do you understand how many fast food restaurants and car dealerships and all these different car brands? Is that stopping anybody from selling cars? No. Is that making anybody? It doesn't stop production if you keep creating the same thing or new things, as long as you know how to do it for you. Remember, we're not here to praise one person. No human being is God, period. God is the universe, the nature, everything around us, the elements that keeps us alive. Not a person who was able to speak the gospel. Take that how you want to take it. These are messiahs, these are truth speakers, these are star seeds, these are healers. Put whatever category you want to put them in, as long as you understand, if they walk this earth as a human, they are not God. God is everything that gives back without us creating it as humans. We are a part of a byproduct of being a vessel that is given to us. So we have to learn how to understand, if I'm a part of this beauty that is God, then I have to learn how to assimilate myself in a mindset that I know that I am God as well. Because I am here to co-create. I'm not here to just be a part of this existence. I'm here to create with this existence so that we keep creating for generations to come. And then if we can do this type of conditioning, the imprinting will be that of a productive, healthy, happy, viable society. Because we're all taking the time and patience to do the emotional work and the seed work and the foundation work that we came from. Again, it's okay to start somewhere and get replanted and do better another place. Just don't get stuck in believing that you have to stay a certain way, a certain mindset, because you were never taught more. Every adult is left off where their parents left off. Wherever your parents left off actually teaching you and you just stopped listening to them, or whatever parental figure you had in your life, or if not a parental figure, authoritative figure in your life that you had to listen to or looked up to, eventually you stop listening and you shut off and shut down and do it your own way. But just like anything with structure or without structure, you can go too far into each deep end. Too hard, too soft. If you go into the too hard, you get rigid, you get stuck. If you go into the too soft, then it starts to get murky, wet, and you don't even know how to swim out of it because you don't even know where you are. You're just stuck. You want to be somewhere in the middle that has a good viscosity of solid and permeability that allows you to take in and receive what you're meant to receive, so that when you go out into the world, you're imprinting things that you want to imprint, not things that someone else taught you to imprint. Because then you always say that whole, the first impression means everything. It's true. The first impression is an imprint of something that someone left on you. So if you're walking around in somebody else's template, acting like you're surprised that, why is this happening to me? Why is everyone reacting this way? You don't know the character that you're playing? You don't know what pool of water you've been dipped in, or whatever little inks or whatever analogy I've used at the beginning. You don't know what shoe you is. You know you're a shoe, you just don't know what kind of shoe. And then on top of that, not knowing what kind of shoe you are or what style you are, somebody pick you up and decide what type of design you are. Ooh, come on, let me tell that again. You don't want to be somebody else's design in their fucking plan, okay? You need to always know who you are in your own situations and in your life, because this, again, is how consciousness expands. This is how life grows. This is how creation comes to be, because everything comes out of a place of silence, but we have to know that that silence is our conditioning. And whatever you're sitting and stewing in silence, that's what you're conditioning yourself in. So make sure you put yourself in healthy, happy environments. That conditions the body, the ego, all of the chemicals. And then when you do that, then the imprinting that's lasting on the brain and the soul will start to see like, oh, okay, we can put this in our lives and it's going to work for us because I trust this. I trust this work in process because I watched the work and it go through the full process. So now I know that the byproduct is this, versus you just being a byproduct of someone else's control and never knowing why. Be in charge of your imprinting. Be in charge of your conditioning. Be in charge of your self-love. Be in charge of your self-worth. This is all about the journey of self-respect. All right, guys. I love you as always. If it resonated, awesome. If it didn't, play it again. Maybe it'll work. I don't know. You'll figure it out. Anyways, as always, I love you. Check me out on IG, Facebook, as well as TikTok, YouTube, my website, epicenter.org. You can also check out my podcast, which is on Spotify as well as other platforms. And I also have my video archives. If you want to binge watch my videos, they are on my website, or you can go check it out on YouTube. As always, I love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Besos. Mwah.